turn an astronaut into an astronaut. Like Pelosi Air, with nonstops daily from San Francisco to D.C., starting as low as $300,000. Fly Pelosi Air. You are now free of the country. All right, welcome back. Last night I told you that we were being lied to about the border by our government. I didn't tell you why, because honestly, I didn't know. Well, in the next few minutes, we're going to start to answer that question, but first, the point tonight. Are you sure? Are you really prepared to see where that answer leads? I'm not sure. Here's how I got there. To most of us, the border is prototypical common sense. People are breaking the law. Stop them. Now, an open border is also an enormous threat to our security in this country, and no one from either party is disputing that. Yet, year after year, president after president, Congress after Congress, nothing ever changes. Why? Why? It's a question that's been haunting me since just after 9/11. Honest answers have been virtually impossible to find. But now, because of the most unlikely of stories, questions are finally starting to get answered. Unfortunately, those answers are just leading us to bigger questions like, how deep does this wormhole go? You already know the story that I'm talking about. We did a little bit on it last night. 2 Border Patrol agents shoot a Mexican drug smuggler and then tried to cover it up. The agents are now in prison. The smuggler is free. Now, when you first heard this story, if you're anything like me, it never has completely added up. Every time there's a question that gets answered, 5 more questions are raised. It seems the more we know, the less we know every single day. Well, now, the 2 young agents who are in prison this week got beaten up in prison. People like you and me, there they are, sitting in prison, paying the price for all those unanswered questions like, how did the Department of Homeland Security find the drug smuggler back in Mexico? How did they even hear about this story? What did they offer him in exchange for his testimony against the agents? What did the jury know that we don't know? Why were these agents given 11 and 12-year prison sentence when their crimes don't even come close to justifying something like that? Then, there are the bigger questions, the ones that really make you wonder, who is the wizard behind that curtain? For example, why did Homeland Security staff members tell Congress that the border agents said they intended to shoot Mexicans when we now know that was a lie, an intentional deception of Congress? Why did the staff members also say that the agents admitted that they knew the suspect wasn't armed when they shot him? Again, something we now know that never happened. Why did the lead prosecutor in the case reportedly infer that going soft on the agents would send the wrong message to Hispanic voters? And then there's that one final question. The question that you need to ask yourself. Do you really want the answer? Because in a minute, you're going to hear some of these answers from our guest. But I promise you, the only thing that they will prove is that none of us have any idea just how deep the truth is buried. First, here's what I do know tonight. When something that common sense says should make sense makes no sense, then you've got to continue to ask questions. And I'm not going to stop asking, and I hope you'll join me until anyone, has the courage to explain to me what our government is gaining by selling us out to people like drug smugglers. Here's what I don't know. Why does this have anything to do with politics? This is not about left and right. This is about right and wrong. An article in the paper today said this case has, quote, become the cause celeb among conservative groups. What? Shouldn't all Americans care about 2 men who are locked away simply to serve some unknown person or group's agenda? But here's the other thing I'm only starting to figure out. An agenda does exist, but don't we deserve to know what that agenda is? T.J. Bonner, he's the president of the National Border Patrol Council. T.J., I got to tell you, I find myself going down into the conspiracy corner on this one because the answers just are not making any sense to me at all. And I don't want to live in a conspiracy, but I'm afraid that's where this is leading.
Well, the only other option, Glenn, is gross incompetence. It's one of the two. And I find it hard to believe that people in those positions would be grossly incompetent to the point where they would believe the word of a drug smuggler, disregard the medical evidence, and disregard the testimony of two sworn law enforcement officers.
You know what? Let's start with Rene Sanchez. He's a Border Patrol agent. This drug smuggler was shot in the butt. He goes across the border. His mother calls the mother-in-law of Rene Sanchez and says, "Do you know what people on your border just did to my son?" He calls Homeland Security. How is there a connection here between a Border Patrol agent and a drug smuggler's mom, and why is the Border Patrol agent helping this drug smuggler out?
Rene Sanchez was born in the United States, raised in Mexico, childhood buddies with the drug smuggler. There's your connection.
Okay, so then you have the drug smuggler, and what was he offered for his testimony against these two border agents? He was ordered amnesty, we know, but there's also speculation that he was offered much more than that, including citizenship.
I've heard that he was offered the path to citizenship, a green card, not just for himself, but for his family. But that offer was withdrawn when he was caught with a second load of marijuana, 1,000 pounds of marijuana, in October of that same year.
But okay, so then we take away his offer of citizenship, something he shouldn't have. He's a drug smuggler, something we shouldn't have offered him in the first place. But then that second arrest is expunged from his record. Why?
Well, because if that arrest stands, then the government loses its witness, its key witness in the quest to prosecute two innocent Border Patrol agents.
Okay. TJ, this is where you lead every time it goes to Conspiracy Corner because it doesn't make sense. My gut tells me money is exchanging hands. We are looking at Mexico-style corruption here. Do you believe that's even possible?
It's possible. You hate to think it, Glenn, because the ramifications are frightening, but it is certainly within the realm of possibility.
We have, one of the questions that I hear all the time is, these guys got 12 years, and gee, Glenn, something else had to happen because the jury saw them. They got, this went through the court system, and the judge gave them 12 years. I'm not excusing what these guys did. They did try to cover up the shooting,
But that is not a crime. Let's be clear about that. Covering up a shooting in self-defense is not a crime. Yeah, but it's an administrative infraction, and they should have been disciplined.
Okay.
But not imprisoned.
What should they have received?
According to the Border Patrol policy, the most you can receive for your first offense, which this was, of failing to report a shooting, is 5 days off without pay.
Holy cow. So what is it that, here you're the head guy of the union. I can't even imagine the message that's being sent down to our Border Patrol. What is it that the average person can do to get to the bottom of this?
Well, I'm not sure what the average person can do to get to the bottom of this. What we need is a special counsel appointed to go in with subpoena power to get to the bottom of this, put people under oath, threaten them with prison if they fail to tell the truth.
Telling you, my friend, it's not going to happen. I think there are too many people involved. TJ, thank you much. There is another story involving our borders that's making the headlines. It's pretty disturbing. KKK apparently been using illegal immigration as a marketing tool, and enrollment is now on the upswing. That's great, isn't it? Ku Klux Klan has found yet another group to hate. But wait. You know what? The KKK also would like you to know they're not all bad. No, really.
We at the Ku Klux Klan understand the importance of a healthy planet, and that's why we're leading the fight against global warming. Our new fuel-efficient crosses now emit 1/3 less greenhouse gases than they did 10 years ago. We're also urging our members to leave their cars at home and instead walk to work. We're the KKK, striving to make our planet more green. White. Okay, green and white, but mainly white. So,
Glennbeck.
Coming up, Iran's supreme leader threatens the United States. Tonight, an Iranian dissident speaks out from the belly of the beast. Plus, a promising cancer drug may not be made because there's no money in it. The shocking truth behind drug companies and a possible cure for cancer in tonight's Real Story. And the second man to ever step foot on the moon, Buzz Aldrin, drops by to share his thoughts on what could